have this great connection to things from a long time ago, from the past. As a little kid, I would lean on the rail, looking out over the bay and the Statue of Liberty in the background, and daydream about sunken pirate ships stuck in the mud at the bottom, and chests of gold, and that skeleton with a sword in its hand. And dreaming like that, never really thinking that I would actually uncover an artifact in my life or even get near one. While everybody's rushing off to their jobs, you got your backpack and your shovel and you're going off to dig in some little spot that you love, you know? I consider myself a historian. I basically live for the love of discovery. But the biggest thing for me is saving something that I knew would not have been saved if I didn't take action. I love the sound of the ash on my shovel. Here's a bottle. Scott's emulsion. I grew up in Connecticut, and I played in the forest. As kids, we made little forts and log cabins. I had a bow and arrow that I used to shoot. You could just walk and walk for miles. I played in the forest every day. It was my thing. So one day, my dad comes to me and says, Scott, we're moving to a city. It's called New York. There's going to be buildings bigger than any tree around here. And my heart sank. But that sensation of leaving the most special place you know and going to a city to live, it really hurt. Didn't feel good at all. It made that pain in the throat, you know, as a young boy. I said to myself, I don't want to be a city kid. I don't want to be a city kid. All I knew of was our little one-story house, and I only saw a car passing once in a while on the road nearby. There's noise and there's activity everywhere, and nowhere serene or quiet. I think that's what spooked me. Knowing that going to a city meant everything opposite nature. I was super upset. So one day, I made friends with a kid that lived with his family in Old Fort J. So one day, I'm entering the fort over the drawbridge, and as I'm just about to go through the tunnel, I hear voices and clanking and banging under the drawbridge. So I was like, who is that? So I go down these little steps and I look, and I'm like, wow, there's two teenagers under there. I said, what are you guys doing? We're sifting, and we're finding artifacts from the Revolutionary War, and we got a bottle with 1861 on it. I'm like, wow. I said, can I do that with you guys? And this became my entry into America's past and New York history. And it was incredible to find a musket ball, to find a Civil War button, to find little bits of pottery and clay pipe stems and a broken clay pipe bowl and a coin. And that did it for me. It's been from then, 69, all the way till now. It's been continual digging. This one came out of a cistern well in Brooklyn. This is a Charlie Ross bottle. It's the first and only I've ever found in 42 years of digging. Charlie Ross was a little kid that got kidnapped in the 1870s. And do you know when a missing child, they used to put them on a milk carton? It's the same deal. This is the very first example of that, but the family I don't think ever recovered the child. Skull poison was really big. It was patented in the 1890s. And the design was so strong to tell you this is a poisonous substance. So many people couldn't read, so it's a visual warning. When you think about old-timey days, you look at sepia tone photos and black and white pictures, and you're thinking of the world as something kind of dark. There was a lot of color. We just don't really see it. A lot of people that visit me say, how is there a place in New York to dig? There are landfills around any big city, and these landfills contain artifacts usually of a later period, say 1870s to 1920s or 30s, 40s. What a big old thing. By the 1930s, they needed to make a highway through here, so they built a two-way highway and leveled the dump. But this is the kind of thing that happens in America all across the country, where you have a dumping ground, And then progress and time and development comes through, and that dump becomes covered over and never seen or used again, hidden away for 100 years. We just found a bromo caffeine bottle. It's nice to see, they're hard to come by. But the cool thing about digging, and you can do it for years, you can go out on a dig and turn up something you never looked at. And right here is a bottle I've never seen in my life. When we dig and we look at things thrown out of everyday life in the past, they were everyday objects at the time. And I don't know, I always wonder, did the public of that period look at those things as really beautiful like we do or not? I mean, when that thing was thrown out, was it just something they bought and used and tossed it, didn't think about its beauty? And I think that probably was the case. When we drink a Snapple, we open that bottle, we don't look much at it, and we drink out of it and toss it and recycle it and throw it in the corner garbage can. Excellent. I spend more time in the earth than I do in my own apartment. It's just a nice feeling to be underground, you know. Think that you're somewhere where the past exists, you know, and still sitting there, you know, waiting to be discovered and waiting to be opened up and looked at. I always feel like the artifacts are screaming out to be noticed, you know. They want to be appreciated again. So we have a little bit smaller privy than normal. I would think this would be a bigger one for this neighborhood.
That's why I said it's going to be deep.
Every home in New York City had to have a privy well in the back, which was an outhouse. Most people, whether poor or rich, they drop some of their trash in the privy well in the back. So we lay a tarp out, dig it out. So the active side should be here because they dump from the house this direction most of the time. So they pitch this way. So really this is going to be the active side. I mean, we're seeing a panel piece and some Civil War artifacts, so really changing time period, you know. The cistern is a brick dome-shaped tank under the ground made to take rainwater off the roof. Once they were running pipes through the street and you were getting your toilets in the house and sinks, you had to, by law, seal up the cisterns. You could tell when the homeowners filled it in because there's a lot more household trash. Oh, look at that label. Oh, you rub things. Look at that label. Sitting there intact. Contract archaeologists, they'll do their little sample, they'll get out, and all of it will be ripped up and destroyed. You put my friends on that site, give us a week, we'll retrieve almost anything viable as deep as 20 feet or more.
Hi-ho, it's off to work we go.
We got Fireman Jack. He's a retired fireman, and he's a great storyteller. He can go on forever.
I got my outhouse in my backyard that I want to be buried in, but my wife won't do it. She insisted, no, I'm not going to do that, not going to do that. I said, why wouldn't you give me what I wanted? I'm getting mad at her. Finally, she thinks for a while. She says, because I want to be buried next to you, and I don't want to be in no damn outhouse.
And Andy's Mr. Know-It-All. He's good at going out and getting permission and talking to people, being that he's a lawyer, you know.
I got married in 1999. And I always told my wife, I'm going to love you immeasurably, but my first love is digging.
Chris is a pottery fanatic. He knows so much about pottery, it's amazing.
Keeps you young, keeps you healthy, keeps you active. I get to go out and play in the dirt. Everybody says, yeah, you're never going to grow up. You know, you still act like you're 16. So, I mean...
The guys they're all very different in their lifestyles and what they do, but they all find some moment to get out and explore.
Scott, you know, he's a bottle digger, he's a privy digger, you know. His diet's a little weird, you know. I mean, I can't live off twigs and berries like he does, but, you know, I mean...
We got more drinking water now.
Oh, please.
Here we go.
We're going through the clay cap still here. We're looking at, well, we had a dated soda from 1873, somewhere around here. So we're probably still looking at late 60s, early 70s in this vicinity, you know? We're not average people. We have a bit of that 49er gold rush spirit in us, you know? It brings out the kid in you when you're out in the field. You really feel like a little kid at Christmas time opening your Christmas presents when you're digging. You know, there's something in there, but you don't know really what. Water still in the pipe since 1870. That's amazing, since they got plumbing in the building.
You know, and it's always that excitement, you know? You're going to uncover something you've never seen before, even if it's smashed. But this is the only example known to exist.
Hey, you got a little bottle there rolled out. What's that, Jack?
Oh, that's nice.
Looks like a 1930s perfume.
That's a nice piece.
I've never seen that shape
haven't
from that
either.
period.
I haven't either.
Dudes, look at this.
Oh, wow, what is that?
Does anybody have a guess what that was? I can't believe it because I'm reading my Civil War magazine this morning.
That's a powder horn.
It's a powder horn for a pistol or a rifle. Yeah, it's got a decoration in it, and there's the other half right there.
Oh, wow.
One day we were on this construction site late at night working, and both of us were really finding great stuff, and it was really fun. And we always got out just as daylight started to come. The light started to get a little blue. The pump man came in, and he started messing with the pump. We knew that the workers were arriving soon. We need to sneak out again. So I look back, and there's two cops standing there like this. So they're like, what are you doing in here? And we're like, we're just trying to save America's past. This stuff's going to landfill. Archaeologists have already done their work on the site. Now it's our turn. We want to save something. Well, you know you're not supposed to be in here, blah, blah, blah. You know how they scold you. We know, but this is our mission. So as we come out of the site and as we climb up the big wood ladder, we reach all the construction workers. The whole group of them gather around. So what'd you get? What'd you get? We got a cannonball. Another cannonball. We got a pewter plate tonight. Blah, blah. Look at this button with 35 on it from the British regiments. Oh, right, and they're all passing the artifacts around, talking and going on. The cops and all the workers are becoming like kids. We're all like kids. So they said, look, we got to write you a ticket because the guard saw you, and he called us. So you're going to have to take this to the court. Because try not to get caught again. One of the big things that I see a lot is development in New York City that I can't get on. They just won't allow me. They're afraid. When an archaeologist calls me a looter, there is no bigger destruction in New York than just basic development. Tremendous, beautiful stuff is ripped out, thrown in trucks, and gone. If they gave us a chance and we could actually get in there and save it, we could make a giant museum that would attract tourism from all around the world to see what's fresh out of the ground. It would be a big thing, and I tell you, it would fill a long warehouse if diggers like us could just save, on sites if they give us a chance. We know what the objects are, we know how to find them and get them out of the ground safely. I looked at those objects and said, I want to make something with them. You not only want to collect them, but you want to actually create with them. I found that I could create little collages or shadow boxes and send that stuff out to the world. I create artifact art, restore pottery, make jewelry. I dig up an old clock, and the outer shell of it's missing, but I got the gears and the framework holding the gears. Then I'll take that clock and install it in a little box and put one little doll head in there peeking out from behind the gears. And that little guy, that little porcelain doll peeking at you through the gears is like he's living in there. Two simple objects you dug up, but it's your concept of what to do with those things that bring it back into a new life. I was a street artist for so many years. I sold on the street, on the sidewalk, battling the weather and the police and conditions and wind and rain, and to try and make our simple livings. Every day I went out, I had to pray to God, please don't let me get arrested today. In those days, you had to hide from the cops. You had to make tricks to get away with it. I'd have my table out, and when the cops came with their vans, I had all my stuff laid out with a little card in the middle of the table that was blank. When the cops got near, I would flip it over, and it said, artwork by Scott Jordan, not for sale. So they'd take everybody away in the truck, and I'd be left alone. So one day a lady comes to my table, and she's like, oh, I love these collages. Oh, these are wonderful. I want to buy one. I said, lady, the cops are just here, and they're actually spying on us, and there's one around the corner peeking to see if I sell anything. She said, but I really want this one bad. And I said, well, look, lady, get the money out of your purse and slide it under that collage. I'm taking the one you want right now, and I'm going down, I'm wrapping it for you, I'm putting it in a shopping bag, okay, and I'm going under my table and putting it between your feet. And she goes, oh my God, this is just like a drug deal. This is so much better than shopping in Macy's. She takes off, and this is how it went. This was life in those days. In the beginning days of selling on the street, it would take me quite a lot of hard work to make a living doing it. I quite literally had to ask my mom to help me with the rent. And it was a kind of a crappy feeling, to feel like that. Maybe around 92, 93, something like that, I started entering the flea markets. It was a way of selling and not having to look over your back, not having to worry about the cops coming, not having to worry about undercovers spying you and busting you because you're an artist. But this one comes out of a 1950s landfill in Brooklyn. And I wired it so if you hung it on the wall, you could put some water and a nice flower in there, or start rooting a little vine plant or something in it like we did at home. People know me for my look at the flea market. I came across an old-timey top hat. So I started wearing it as my symbol at work in the flea market, as a look of the past. I can be vending at my table and I'll get tourists come to me and stuff and say, so where are you from? Like Colorado or something? Where'd you move here from? You know, from out west? I'm like, no, I never been out west. Like, that's amazing. You look like you're coming from somewhere out there. So no, it's just how I am. It's just how I feel like being, you know.
Okay, that little perfume is $5, and this little guy is $8. With a paneled bottle like that for pills from the 1890s is a scarce bottle. It's quite a rare one.
This is a place where anybody can come and touch an artifact. And that's a big difference about a museum where you see it behind glass, but when you're given permission to touch, pick up, it's really amazing, that contact with your skin with that object. That's something, so this shape, right, was done like this because at sea travel, these would slide on the table but not fall over. They're designed to actually slide on that tip. Just brought it up for you guys to look at and enjoy, you know. When I was leaving Connecticut, I said to myself, I don't want to be a city kid. So yeah, it rang in my brain, you know, that this is not going to happen to me, but I'm going to do all I can to prevent it. To this day, I have to go to the woods in our city parks once or twice a week, if I can help it, to keep my sanity. It's the only way I feel refreshed again. There's something nice about digging is that black dirt that you break through with your tools and smell the roots and just the sensation of plants all around you. And you're grounding yourself, you're sitting on the earth, you're getting dirty, you're getting it in your skin. And your hair, and feeling like you're part of the earth. And where we all come from. We all come out of the earth, we rise up, we go back down into it. And our spirit goes off somewhere. We all don't know that great mystery. Where do we go? In November of 2011, I was home. I was about to eat a banana, took a bite or two, and after I was starting to chew, I swallowed that banana and it got a really sharp pain here, as though somebody had stabbed me with a knife and left it hanging out of me. And I was shaking and trembling and I could hardly breathe. The pain was so incredible. When I woke the next morning, I was in a bed with these giant staples here and a big ugly gash. On my stomach, I had a perforated ulcer. My stomach literally wore thin until it ripped open, and then all the acid juices spilled out onto my organs and started burning them. They had to slice off a piece of my stomach and patch the hole. If I had been far from the public, I would have never made it. I would have died. During the hospital stay and my time in it, it was a kind of a dreadful feeling. You got someone's TV blaring, and you smelled all these incredible smells from putrefied sicknesses and people's ailments coming through, you know. I used to go to the bathroom, which had like a little bit of the window open at the top, and I used to look out the back and see a tree and the wet leaves, and the air would blow, and I would reach and go and get a whiff of that air from outside. It's like, that's outdoor air. You know, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here. I did feel that I may never be able to do any more of my digging anymore. It actually made me quite depressed. You know, that feeling as a kid that you're going from your beloved forest. It made me feel that all over again. I was feeling like I'm not myself, and I don't think I'll ever be myself. I always thought, as a fantasy when I was younger, I would love to live to be 200 or 300 years old so I could do all the things I wanted to do. And to see myself as a changing person, as a man getting older, I don't like to see my reflection. You see your faults. You see your balding, you see your turning gray, you see your wrinkles, and you're saying to yourself, I'm not that young, handsome guy I used to be. But what's interesting too is that inside of all of us is a little kid still living. The whole exterior has changed. And as you age, you gotta accept what you look like and who you are in that time period. And it's hard for all of us, I believe. This experience has given me a new type of strength because I almost died, I recovered, and I have a purpose here that I need to fulfill. Look at that, artwork by children. There's the entrance. Then you go through the maze and find your way in and out again. Just made. Where are these kids? That's so cool. I mean, like, kids are amazing, you know? How they'll spend the time to be creative and look, add those flowers and the rocks, the sticks.
What are you called? Are you like a meteorologist?
No, I'm an archaeologist. And I'm a historian. We go into public schools to work with children, and I brought in cannonballs, spoons, pipes, musket balls, and the level of sound from their voices start to rise from excitement so much. There's kids in school memorizing when Washington crossed the Delaware, and all that for tests. History was just that. It was in a book and something you had to memorize. And it wasn't really real, you know, until you find those things in the ground.
I found that.
I never had a child. Every child I meet, they're interacting with me, and I get to enjoy that childlike nature that they have, that little kid energy that I don't want to let go of.
There's a bottle upstairs.
This rich blue-green color is from a soda pop bottle from the 1850s. And that was laying on the surface, and there's some of the lettering on it had an S in it. But isn't that a pretty color?
Oh, I see that.
My contribution to society is to be an educator. It's just incredible to see children grow and become collectors and become historians in their own right. They do change from that experience. I get a lot of people that say, thank you for doing what you're doing. It's really a great thing that you salvaged these items and brought them back to life. My mom just says, I think you're the happiest one in the family for what you're doing. And I'm stabilized. I have a little money saved. I make a moderate income. But that freedom of knowing, am I gonna go dig in my dump today? Or maybe I'll make a little bit of art. All that I've done over my lifetime is my dream of what's buried in New York. I search for a simple way of life. Each morning when I wake up, I thank God that I'm here and that I could turn people on to something old New York, to my art. And I make my prayers and thank God a lot that I'm able to do it and make it this far.